মই আজি আপোনাৰ লগৰ আগত দিব পাৰি নথৈ আনন্দিত হৈছো। মোৰ নৰ্থ ইষ্টৰ লগত পাৰিবাৰিক সম্বন্ধ আছে কাৰণ মোৰ সহধৰ্মিনীও মণিপুৰৰ পৰা হয়। So I have very close connection with the Northeast, and I would always endeavor whatever is in my capacity to make sure that we do as much as possible for this region, because we understand the importance of this region for the rest of the country. So I'll begin my presentation. It's a very short one. This is, if those of you who were there in the first session, my colleague has already gone through the journey that we have had in IWAI, and we were established not too long back in the year 1996, and as you can see, we have come a long way. From one national waterway in 1986, we are 111 national waterways in today's date. And this is the vision and the aim which was also shared by my colleague in the first session, so I will not dwell too much on this. Basically, we are there to promote the movement of goods as well as passengers in the national waterways. The importance of inland waterway transport system is related to economic growth of the nation, reduce congestion on the traditional mode of transport, which is road as well as rail, and also, needless to say, it is much more environment friendly as compared to the other modes. This is a map which shows the various national waterways in the country, the 111 national waterways as I mentioned. Out of these, I'll just like to point out that at present we are actually operating cargo in about 26 of these 111, and since the rest are also declared as national waterways, we are endeavoring to explore possibilities, navigational possibility of cargo as well as passenger traffic in the other national waterways. And coming to the Northeast region, these are the national waterways. There are 20 national waterways in the region. The most important one, of course, being the river Brahmaputra system, which is the national waterway 2. And there's a lot of movement happening both in terms of passenger as well as cargo, and also it's important from its connectivity to the Indo-Bangladesh protocol route. This is the cargo movement through the national waterways over the years. As you can see, the graph is only rising from 30 million metric ton in year 2014-15. We did 126 metric million ton plus in the last fiscal, and I'm sure in this fiscal we would be increasing our share. The modal share, let me point out, is barely about 3% at present, and the target is to make it to 5% by the year 2030, which is not an easy task, but because when we talk of modal share, we have to take away the share from the traditional mode, which is rail and road, and that's not an easy task, but I'm pretty confident we'll be able to do that as well. This is some of the infrastructure projects that we have undertaken in the northeastern region. Some of them are assured depth dredging, fairway maintenance on NW2, NW16, 31 and 57, construction of ship repair facility in Guwahati, permanent terminal at Sonamura in Tripura, construction, supply, installation of 2 floating jetties at Oriam Ghat and Guijan, an alternative approach road at Pandu, which is likely to be finished very soon. Some of the other projects is construction of cargo terminal at Bogibeel, which is just on the outskirts of Dibrugarh, and that's where the MV Ganga Vilas had also concluded its journey a few months back. Hiring of building for skill development center at Guwahati, multimodal terminal at Jogigopa, renovation of the existing shore facilities at Badarpur on River Barak, and renovation of the existing shore facility at Karimganj, also on River Barak. So these are some of the, not the only, but some of the infrastructure development that IWAI is undertaking. Then also I would like to point out that all the work that we do from IWAI is also part of the PM's Gati Shakti. It is all linked together with the PM's Gati Shakti and also the logistics policy marine. And also it is an important part of India's Act East policy because of the geographical nature of the northeastern region. It is of strategic as well as commercial importance from connecting the India's eastern and southeastern neighbors. So it requires even more importance in that aspect. This is the cargo traffic trend on the National Waterway 2, which has been rising again over the years. File, as you can see, there's some motorcycle, goods of passenger and others, and passengers. A lot of the stone chips are going to Bangladesh through the National Waterway 2. This is the IBP route, which is again of commercial as well as strategic importance for India, because it connects the northeast with the mainland India, and we have both India and Bangladesh are striving very hard to develop and further and introduce new ports of call on this particular route. This is the traffic on the IBP route. Majorly fly ash and then stored aggregates are the items, but we are looking to expand the commodity profile. There are certain new ports of calls, particularly on from Bengal to Bangladesh, and then also infrastructure development at various ports located along the IBP route that we are doing. So in the coming years, you will see this profile, the commodity profile undergoing a change. This is again the cargo movement in the northeast region and the future prospect that we are looking at. 29, 30, 46 and 47. So these are some of the projections, very ambitious one, but yeah, I think we'll get there. There are some of the projects through the centrally sponsored scheme in various states in Assam. So this is not necessarily on the national waterways, but other waterways as well. So as you can see, in Assam we are developing various floating jetties on NW2 as well as River Barak, and floating terminals as well on National Waterway 2. And we are also doing various surveys in the Manipur side in River Barak to develop it for navigational purposes. In Mizoram also we have, because Mizoram also has connectivity with Bangladesh. Mizoram is also very important part of the Kaladan project, where we are going to connect through the Myanmar route, getting the cargo from Bengal through Sidwe port, and then through river and through road to Mizoram, and then to rest of the northeast. So these are some of the the point I'm trying to make is in each and every state, as the honorable MLA also from Nagaland was saying, that they also have certain stretch. So we take consideration of all these things, and these are some of the initiatives that we take. And mind you, these are not all national waterways. So it is not purely in the, strictly speaking, in the ambit of the IWI Act, but nonetheless we understand the importance. Hence, we do take the centrally sponsored schemes in the northeastern region. Cruises, as again Mr. Raj Singh has just mentioned about the cruises, so I will not dwell too much. These are some of the cruises which are presently operating, and I'm sure there is new initiative from various stakeholders in developing the cruise network on the National Waterway 2. It is also very important, the cruise is also very important to connect the cultural hotspots along the river system. So these are some of the cultural hotspots where the cruises stop, and tourists, both Indian as well as foreign, can actually learn about the Assamese as well as culture from other northeastern regions. Again, the number of cruises as well as the passengers on these cruises has been rising over the year, and the target is there in front of you for 2047. This is the tourism on national waterways through the protocol of inland waterway on trade and transit, that is through the Indo-Bangladesh route, so that both the number of vessels and the passengers would be rising, because most of these cruises, which are particularly, like I mentioned, Ganga Vilas, would have to involve Bangladesh as well, because once they're starting from mainland and coming into Assam, they would necessarily have to pass through the IBP route. Some of the other initiatives are the MOUs that we have signed. Just last week I was here in the very same hall. We signed an MOU with Numaligarh refinery. It was well covered in the media, Also, these are some of the other MOUs that we have signed with Tata Steel, Brahmaputra Crackers, Numaligarh Refinery, of course, Ultratrack Cement, Rajesh Auto Mercantise, GMIS, Cambridge Construction. So these are some of the initiatives that we have taken by signing MOUs, and some of these MOUs have been converted into agreements whereby we have a certain guarantee of movement of cargo over the national waterways. This is again a very important project, the regional waterway grid, of which I have now become in charge. This is basically to which envisages connectivity through waterways route between Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan and Myanmar. And Northeast goes without saying is the most important key link in this whole project. So this is in its very initial stage, but I think when it is fully developed, this is going to be one of the most important projects in the India's Act East policy. And coming to the challenges, these are some of the major challenges which we have been discussing: last mile connectivity, connectivity with the nearest highways and railway lines, constraints in availability of land, low risk appetite in the private sector, lack of resources and supply chain ecosystem in the major industries in the vicinity of the inland waterways terminal. Comprehensive policy framework is also missing, and also there are various challenges in terms of the taxation issue. I mean, because of paucity of time, I will not go, I can detail it, but then because it's a short presentation, I would suffice it at that. Some of the initiatives undertaken to address the challenges are use of technology and operational efficiency. These are some of our portals: Pani, Cardi, MIRS. Development of key and support infrastructure through Jalmarg Vikas project and Earth Ganga, enactment of inland institute like IITs and Maritime University for conducting research and development, problem solving and training purposes. So the commitment of IWI, gentlemen, is to develop a self-sustainable, economical, safe and environment-friendly supplementary mode of transport. আশা কৰো আপোনালোকে প্ৰেজেন্টেশন তো চাল ভাল পালে ধন্যবাদ
Good afternoon, everybody. Respected dignitaries on the dais and delegates from other states and ladies. I am very proud to be present here as Chairman Assam Inland Water Transport Regulatory Authority. As you know, this was a new act that was enacted by the government of Assam by the Act Assam Inland Water Transport Regulatory Authority Act 2018, and we are new in this regulatory authority as chairman, and the main objectives of the regulatory authority is to regulate the vessels, the operators of the ports and other related maritime activities. So I would like to just brief some of the salient issues. It is my honor to speak at this momentous occasion emphasizing our shared maritime potential and future collaboration. I stand here as chairman of the Assam Inland Water Transport Regulatory Authority, an organization that plays a pivotal role in facilitating development and of the transport sector through regulations in the state of Assam. Regulation plays a critical role in boosting maritime development in several ways. Number one is the enhancing safety. Safety is the most prominent and main objectives for all the stakeholders. Regulations govern the construction, equipment, and operation of vessels to ensure they are safe for the crew, passengers, and cargo. This establishes confidence among stakeholders, this potentially attracting more investment and activity in the maritime sector. 2. Promoting fair competitions. Regulations set uniform rules and standards that ensure fair competition among different players in the maritime industry. Competitive environments often spark growth and innovations. Number 3, protecting the environment. Maritime regulations enforce environmental protections measures such as controlling emissions and waste management. This only helps to preserve our waterways, but also pushes the industry to adopt more sustainable methods and technologies. For legal, clear rules defined legal responsibilities and liabilities. As you all know that Inland Vessel Act 2021 and subsequent rules, 9 rules have already been adopted by the government of Assam, and we are implementing the Inland Vessel Rules 2021, and all the rules, 9 rules have already been enacted, and we are implementing it. Encouraging innovations. Strict regulatory standards often force business to innovate, leading to the development of new technologies and more efficient practices. Facilitating trade by forming a clear regulatory framework. Maritime regulations facilitate trade, contributing to national and global economic growth. Ensuring security. This is the most important, that all the stakeholders are secured for their life. Regulations that promote security help to protect trade routes from piracy and other threats, ensuring safe and reliable transport. In the age where sustainability, economic growth, and connectivity are paramount, our waterways are not merely bodies of water. They are an instrument for change, an artery for development, and a conduit of global collaborations. These waterways and the maritime sector at large epitomize the governance of these critical aspects. Assam Inland Water Transport Regulatory Authority's mission is to elevate the role of inland water transport in Assam. We aim to make this mode of transport a safe, economical, and environmental friendly alternative to road and rail transport. Our tasks, however, do not end there. We tirelessly work not only to regulate water transport, but to do so in a manner that safeguards our state's environments, promotes social equity, and propels economic development. Friends, the maritime potential of Assam is vast. With the river Brahmaputra traversing its length and many other waterways all across the state, there is tremendous opportunity for effective utilization of the inland waterway. Not only does it open up economic prospects of transport and trade, but it also plays a significant role in reducing surface transport congestions. Assam's strategic locations in northeastern India and expensive waterways provide plenty of opportunity for maritime investments, which can stimulate the local economy, employment, and international trade. Investment opportunities include. This includes infrastructure. The government, along with the private investors, can invest in upgrading ports, jetties, terminals, navigational aids, development of economic terminals, and storage facilities can be done by effective handling of goods. As you know, as you have already seen in our previous enhancing their activities for this purpose. Trade and commerce. The promotion of inland water transport can lower logistic cost significantly compared to road and rail transport. Already everybody has informed. But in Assam, tourism sector is most important. Assam's rich cultural history and natural beauty offer significant potential for river cruises, water sports, and other forms of water-related tourism. This sector can attract substantial investment in hospitality, entertainment, and transportation services. Heritage sites, wildlife reserves, and religious spots around the river banks should be promoted for tourism. One aspect is most important, that the manpower here in Assam, particularly in water-related activities, is very poor due to skilled laborers, skilled personnel. Human resource development is most important, therefore. Skilled workforce is essential for the successful operations and growth in the maritime sector. Investment can be made in training institutes for skill development in areas such as seamanship, fisheries, maritime safety, shipbuilding, etc. Collaborations with universities and technical institutions for maritime courses should be promoted. Through effective regulations, resolve and dedications, the Assam Inland Water Transport Regulatory Authority has been instrumental in catalyzing these transformations. We aim at facilitating private investment in ports, improvement navigational channels, introducing modern vessels, and enhancing overall safety and efficient standards. As we eagerly look forward to the upcoming Global Maritime India Summit 2023, let us recommit to the shared vision of harnessing our maritime strengths for the betterment of our states, our nation, and our world. This platform will enable us to learn, teach, collaborate with global maritime leaders, and garner the best practices that we can further bolster to maritime sector. In conclusion, Assam Inland Water Transport Regulatory Authority is committed to turning the tide, making waves, and charting a course where our waterways fuel our economy, serve our people, and safeguard our environment. Let us transform this potential into action and make our maritime vision a concrete reality together. I wish all the participants to contribute in this Global Maritime India Summit for its wide publicity and take advantage of this opportunity to help our people in the maritime sector, and thank all of you for listening to these few words. Thanks.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting the prospects of waterways in Assam and also the role of Assam Inland Water Transport Regulatory Authority. May I now invite the Managing Director A-to-Z Exim, Shri Sohail Kazani, to kindly present his thoughts.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. To introduce myself, we are the port operators at Pandu and Dhubri terminal. In addition to a terminal in Myanmar, that is Sitwe, Palewa is yet to be operationalized. and we are also operating the largest container terminal in Yangon, and we are about to finalize a contract with one of the terminals in Chittagong. So technically, we are trying to build the entire supply chain right from Myanmar, Bangladesh to the northeast as a private operator, with somewhere it is a government contract and somewhere it's a private contract. So having said that, I'll straight away move on to our presentation. So you can see the details of the terminals at bfgports.com. So the improvisations that we've planned for these two terminals is, one is improving the security system using AI-based CCTV cameras, which is not only captures the truck numbers, but also helps in the entry and exit of personnel at the gate pass. We are also looking at installing the traffic management system for cargo and vessel planning, because right now these are two small terminals, but because they are small, the planning is more important. So the storage and the planning has to be well planned if we want to achieve a target of a certain number that we want to move. In short, we are trying to work on productivity using technology out here. And IWI has been assuring us to maintain the LED at the least available depth between 2 and 2.5 meters for Pandu and Dhubri respectively. We will also be installing multiple high-speed conveyor belts which will also have moving arms. The reason is that with the tide, the vessel goes up and down, as well as in the lean season, the water also moves away from the jetty. So we are going to have extendable as well as movable arms in the conveyor belt, so that we can work throughout the year and not only in restricted seasons, which has been restricting the volume also. We will also be upgrading the cargo handling equipments, and we'll also be investing in cargo handling cranes and forklifts. We will also try to improve on the passenger traffic management. This is not something a part of our contract, but this is something that we would love to do as a CSR from our side to make the cruise experience good for the passengers coming on our terminals. So this is the Dhubri port plan. So the sketchy remarks that you see are the plans that we have in mind. One is we need to make a coal yard. The other one portion is marked for aggregates, and we are going to install 3 conveyors, basically 2 for coal and 1 for aggregates. With the help of this, basically we will be in a position to target a turnover of around 1 million tons of both commodities put together. This is mainly for Bangladesh and aggregates coming from Bhutan. So Assam and Meghalaya coal that is coming from 200-kilometer radius, and over and above this there are 2 warehouses here where we are looking at doing either a domestic hub and spoke model for promoting MSME producers, or we could also do the ICD operations out here for Bhutan or Nepal export-import cargoes. Similarly, for Pandu port, we got 2 jetties. Where I have written crane, that's the high-level jetty, and where we have written conveyor is the low-level jetty. The low-level jetty gets partly submerged in the monsoon period, and in the high-level jetty, you always have availability of draft out here. So we are looking at making 3 parts of cargo sections. The biggest one out here would be probably dedicated for steel cargoes. The one with the conveyor is where we are looking for coal movement, and the third part we are looking at fly ash storage. So besides this, again here we have 2 large warehouses. We are looking at activating trains for parcel cargo, where we are looking at getting a parcel train of say around 40 boxes at a time, and we are also looking to take back tea in the same containers for export through JNPT. So today the parcel movement from Bombay all the way to the northeast is anywhere between 6 to 7 rupees a kg. But if we have two-way traffic on the parcel trains, the cost for each side will not be more than 4 rupees a kg. So we are looking at activating this for the domestic as well as EXIM trade, and try to bring down the cost of business that can promote more volumes out here. The cargo potential as at Mandu, which I just explained, is also with reference to steel and bitumen movement as well as fly ash from Calcutta that we are looking to start by barges. And the volume target today being the first, now being the first year, we have a little problem with the no entry, so we are limited by traffic. So, but after the road is done, probably after a year, we are again keeping a target of around 1 million tons per annum. Also, I just forgot to mention, next to the crane and one jetty that you see, the entire area is getting reclaimed, which will again open up avenues for putting up additional conveyor belts for placing ships and loading cargoes. This is being done by L&T at their cost, because they are developing the dry dock terminal and they need to do this as an additional activity at this port. So to make it more interesting, we've made a website for both the terminals, Mandu and Dhubri. You'll find commercial as well as technical details for both the terminals, as well as we made interactive forums grouped for logistics, for ship owners, exporters, importers, and railway CNF agents. So here this is an interactive forum where people can post their requirement or they can offer their services, and it's like a blog that they can run to mutually interact with the trade. This was, I felt, necessary because the northeast somehow is just confined to Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh and Myanmar. I felt there is a lot of northeast to connect with the rest of India, and that's the reason for me to think about having interactive forum on the website also, so that information about cargo availability, prices, qualities, logistics services operators who are interested from the rest of the world as well as India can get aware about. And this is an exercise to create the awareness as well as interaction between the stakeholders who will come on our terminals. So this is all I had to say. Thank you for your patient listening and participation. I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, sir, for your insights. I now invite the Chief Operating Officer, Star Siemens, Sri Pradeep Purohit, sir, for his presentation.
Dignitaries on the dais, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. While I speak about my company, that is Star Cement Limited, I'll rush through the details of it so that we can discuss this subject a little better. We are a cement company having capacity of close to 6 million ton in Northeast, and we are the biggest private sector manufacturing unit operating out of Northeast, and we have been bringing power. Our distribution channels are the main backbone of our selling cement in Northeast. We changed the way cement being sold in Northeast. Earlier, it was all coming by railway rakes and getting sold out of the railway sidings itself, and then the rest of the logistics was supposed to be done by the dealers and the trade promoters, etc. But we changed the game here, and we made sure that the cement is delivered to the retailers at their counters, and that is what has earned the added advantage against the national players of cement, and that was the main reason why we succeed in Northeast. So coming back to the waterways, we are the one being the biggest volume movers in Northeast. We have been moving the most voluminous material in Northeast after maybe FCI. So the only other thing that might be moving, which is more than us, is coal, which is an unorganized movement. So in organized sector, cement is the biggest voluminous material that moves in Northeast, and we have been good to our responsibility to do all the trials whenever waterways was to be tried. And way back 10 years ago, we did the trials of getting in fly ash from Haldia or Calcutta to Pandu, or getting in fly ash from Sahibganj to Pandu. And similarly, we started dispatching clinker from Badarpur Ghat to Bangladesh, and we did cement dispatches from Guwahati to Dhubri and the rest of Assam. So these are a few trials that we did, and through which we tried to demonstrate that yes, waterways is possible and is an economical mode of transport available. We really got very, very good support from IWAI wherever the fiscal supports were required, because the economies were supposed to be supported during the first few trial runs, or the organizational support that was required, infrastructure support that was required. We have always been getting very good support from IWI on this. So these are a few trials that we have done. And looking ahead, in fact, the potential and challenges that we would like to discuss here is that the big potential is obviously waterways is something in which the high value items which does have their inventory carrying cost as high as anything, does not go to waterways. Mostly the cargo which has high logistics cost and low cost of material would like to go to waterways, because waterways takes a little longer time than the other mode of transportation, whether it is railways or roadways. So thus the voluminous materials like food grains, cement, coal, clinker and coal from the Barak to Bangladesh, and supplies of ODC to hydropower and infrastructure projects of Northeast, and the other one is bamboo and the bamboo related other agro products which can be transported out from Northeast to the rest of the country. So these are few products which are in voluminous in nature and are prone to logistics cost, are very much affected by logistics cost, and logistics cost plays a big role in their success. So these are the potential products that we should be looking towards. The challenges that we have been facing through our trials and through our experience that we have gathered, that the biggest challenge is the port to destination or the last mile connectivity is the biggest challenge. The last mile connectivity makes eats away all the benefits of waterways movement, rather makes it even costlier than the other mode of transport. So last mile connectivity is one thing upon which we have to stress upon how to reduce it. In my opinion, one way to reduce it is to have more terminals. Obviously, work is underway, number of terminals are being opened. So that is one challenge. And the other challenge is both side traffic availability. If you are talking of the protocol route, Calcutta to Guwahati, or so to say Haldia to Guwahati or Pandu, traffic will be available. A lot of commodities do come, so traffic will be available. But commodity from Pandu to Calcutta will be a difficulty. So in order to make it possible, we really need to take care of products like bamboo, which is certainly going by road nowadays, and that if that can be converted and if we can create such a supply chain in which both ways movement can be made possible, then only the real benefits of waterways movement will be achieved by us. Then there are no agencies which are available in this field. It's really heartening to see that Mr. Kujami has taken over Pandu Port and Dhubri Port, and such agencies have come forward, and they are and IWI has also taken this initiative to give it out to the private agencies to handle. So this is one good move that has taken place. More such move needs to take place, like more such barge operators needs to be supported initially, hand-holded, and once they are successful, then they can be up on their feet. So more such agencies need to come up and take charge of this movement and as a business model. Then the draft issues of NW2 has always been a problem, although in past few years or maybe couple of years, draft issues have been handled to a greater extent, but still there are a few bottlenecks, like on Barak river, just on the border of Indo-Bangla border, there is a stone portion where the barges do get stuck in the dry weather. So that makes movement very costly, because the barges that come from Bangladesh, they used to go out taking only maybe 50% or 60% of the load, and that makes it uneconomical. So draft issues needs to be taken care of. So these are the few challenges. Now, one more big development that I would like to discuss here is development of Kopili river, which is already a NW declared. So as in the earlier discussion, we could see that 26 out of 106 NW are operational. So the rest of the NW need to come forward and to be made operational. Only then we can achieve that last mile connectivity issues. Like we would like to move cement from our factory in which is on the eastern part of the Guwahati in Sonapur. From there, if you want to move cement to the rest of the Assam at various places, we do face two challenges. One, we have to move all the cement from our factory, cross entire Guwahati and come to Pandu and load it. So that this first mile connectivity makes it costly, because we have to cross the city, no entry, all the cost. Then comes the terminals, which are very less available to us. Only few terminals are available, Dibrugarh or Anyamati or all these places where we can distribute it. So the possibility on both the ends need to increase. More number of terminals need to come up, and on Kopili, as I was specifically talking about, that is on the eastern side of Guwahati, where we need not to cross the entire Guwahati for a cargo to come and load onto a barge. So if we can start a pontoon, which I have been discussing with IWI, and they have been kind enough to assure that they would like to come up with that. So if that takes place, lot of cargo which has to cross entire Guwahati and come to Pandu and load will be loaded from there itself, thus saving on the first mile connectivity cost. So that is the shallow draft barges that needs to be inducted. Earlier, whatever trials that we did were all the old barges of IWI, which were taken over from the erstwhile maybe CIWTC and all that, which had their own draft issues. So if we can come up with shallow draft, smaller barges which can operate in low draft also, and smaller jetties at multiple places, finalize some barge operators who can initially be supported during the first 5 years, better handling facilities, more suitable to the cargo that is to be handled at the particular jetty. Like different jetties do have different cargo to be handled. So if it is more specific to the cargo that is to be handled, if we can create such handling facilities. It was really heartening to see Mr. Kujami when he was talking about the conveyor belt and the crane, both facilities being developed at Pandu. Similarly, Kopili River, as I discussed earlier. And one more suggestion which I would like to put forward is a joint action team or a joint committee or something sort of arrangement in which different government departments or different government stakeholders as well as the different business stakeholders, whether the operators are concerned or the consumers are concerned or the logistics operators are concerned or the government departments which are associated to it, they do have their one from time to time, and they come up with their suggestions which are acceptable to all these stakeholders. Then only these suggestions can be taken forward. I'm really happy that we are discussing about this roadshow where going forward we'll be having this global summit, and I'm really hopeful that in the summit we will be discussing number of issues that the Northeast waterways does face, and a lot of solutions will come out of that summit. I'm really hopeful with that, and I'm thankful to IWI and FICCI and all the other organizers to have me here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite for his presentation, transporting overseas for the Holy Honor, Sri Mukul Singh, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. My esteemed co-panelists and the audience who has stuck around very bravely, waiting for us to, conclude. I'll spend a few minutes just talking about, essentially reading between the lines of the last two speakers, who are who would be the customers and we would be the service providers for them. We at Eastern Navigation are one of the country's oldest marine service providers and inland water operators. Be it transportation of tea from Assam in the 60s, or be it transportation of jute to and fro up the NW2, NW1, be it doing lighterage at Haldia, or doing over-dimensional cargo most recently for the Numaligarh project, as well as running tourist and entertainment cruises, mostly in the Hooghly River, and then operating for infrastructure companies across the country in every bridge construction activity going on. We have done every activity possible as far as the inland waterways are concerned, and we're still doing a lot of it. So, the following, whatever we say, is based on those experiences. Right, how do I move forward? Okay, so from the perspective of the topic at hand, which is the Global Indian Maritime Summit, it is our hope that, as Sir from Start Cement pointed out, that we'd be talking about certain issues there and trying to come up with solutions. And I think being operators, as far as NW1 and NW2 is concerned, we have drilled it down essentially to, like we like to think that first try to find the problems which are 20% of the problems, which would solve 80% of your end product, which would give you 80% of the result you need. And in our view, those two are largely centered around A, draft, the draft available in the river, and B is certain policy decisions. But majorly it is the draft that is the issue. So I'll just get to that first. So, being part of the logistics industry, we are not a, as far as movement of cargo is concerned, we are not a revenue generating industry. We are a cost saving industry. Where you get value out of as a logistics provider is if you reduce cost, and that is the bottom line. And if the roads and rail reduce cost more than we do, we will not be selected as the choice of transportation. It is as simple as that. So it comes down to comparing, what is the cost per ton, per kilometer, or cost per ton from end to end for moving cargo through waterways versus moving through roadways and railways. Maybe 15 years back, the draft requirement which made it economical and competitive to move through the waterways was 2 meters. As the roads and rail have improved, today we would say that it's about 3 meters. Particularly in NW2 in this area, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolutely win-win kind of situation. You already have the resource in place. The same limitations that apply to logistics and movement of cargo do not necessarily apply to providing entertainment and tourism opportunities. Though, of course, in the case of long cruises, they do to a certain extent, but there's still a lot more that can be done with just having such a beautiful river run through such major cities, such as Guwahati or Calcutta or Varanasi or Ayodhya. And, the big advantage is there, it has no substitute. River tourism really has no substitute. So just like when we move over-dimensional cargo, which really has no substitute, you can't go by road or by rail, and therefore it has to go by river, and therefore we do it. Similarly, somebody who wants to go on the river and have a nice experience really can't get it anywhere else. There is no substitute for it, which really makes it resilient to any external shocks, which makes it resilient to any industry shocks as such. And it creates employment not just on the waterway, but in the entire ecosystem that has to support the execution of that industry. And it has minimal impact on the residing neighborhoods. We often hear dreary stories about how tourists descend on popular places and really ruin the life for everybody living there. But in this case, it has minimal negative impact on everybody there, and it only adds to the economy of the city. So, as we move forward and commit to trying and come to solutions, and really increase the expanse of use of national waterways, particularly with the Maritime Summit, I would encourage everybody to, keep particularly these two aspects in mind with respect to logistics and entertainment, and let's have healthy discussions and, build new ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, with that, we have come to the end of the session 3. Now I invite the Director IWAI, Shri A. Kumar sir, to kindly deliver the word of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening to everybody. On behalf of IWA, I like to express our sincere thanks to all the dignitaries for their esteemed presence who have spared their valuable time for this global maritime summit. We are very much thankful to our Honorable Union Minister of Port Shipping and Waterways, Sri Sarvananda Sonowal sir, for making this function a grand gracing this function. And also, I like to thank the senior ministers from Government of Assam, Sri Parimal Sukumare sir and Vimal Vora sir, for their presence in this global maritime summit. We are also very much thankful for the senior officials from Ministry Government, Minister of Port Shipping and Waterways, T.K. Ramcharan sir and Sanjeev Ranjan sir for coming to this function and making this global maritime a great success. Further, I like to thank our IWA officials, our chairman Sri Bandhavacharya sir, and our member serving and logistics Sri Vinayagada sir, and member finance Sri Praveen Nandavana sir, and our member technical sir, for Ashutosh Gosam sir for making this function, and also thankful to our IWA Chief Captain Mahendra Kumar sir for coming to this function and making this project guidance and support given by them for making this function a grand success. And also I like to thank our IWA headquarter team from the Max Tyagi director and his team also for making this function with a lot of efforts they have put for making this function day and night and making this success. And also I express our sincere thanks to our IWA Guwahati officials also for making this function a success. Further, I like to convey a special thanks to also our Vivekananda Phukan Chairman, Assam Inland Water Transport Regulatory Authority, Sri Sohail Kasani, Managing Director, A2Z Exim, Sri Pradeep Rohit, Chief Operating Officer, Star Cement, and Sri Mukul Singh, Operator, Eastern Navigation, for participating and making this as a great success. And we are very much delighted to hear their speech or giving their importance on this development of waterways. We are very much thankful to you, sir. With this, I like to express our sincere thanks to media and the security personnel also,
everyone once again for your participation, and with that we have come to the end of the roadshow which was held here in Guwahati for the third edition of the Global Maritime India Summit 2023. So we look forward to your association for the main event at the Global Maritime India Summit 2023, which will be held from the 17th to the 19th of October 2023 in New Delhi. Thank you everyone once again.